keeping you informed with news that matters. Fox 40 News at 10 starts now.
The Caldor fire continues to rage in El Dorado County, threatening thousands of homes and forcing people to flee and causing large destruction. Thanks for joining us for Fox 40 News at 10. I'm Nikki Lorenzo.
And I'm Eric Harriman. After more than a week, firefighters are starting to get a small portion of that fire under control. At last check, containment had jumped to 9%. That is up from 5% this afternoon. The fire has burned about 114,000 acres, 450 homes being destroyed in that process. More than 17,000 buildings are still threatened. The northern side of that fire has crossed parts of Highway 50. The highway is still shut down from Myers to Sly Park Road in Pollock Pines. Cooler temperatures, higher humidity, buying some time for those firefighters to get in there and protect those homes.
We have support from 9 different states that are now coming to support our fire, and that represents at least 19 different agencies.
And as those crews are dealing with terrain challenges, evacuees are turning their attention to what's left behind.
Fox 40 has team coverage for you tonight. Bridget Biorlo spoke with one family about the destruction the fire did to their home. Dennis Shanahan in the studio with the details about the latest fire conditions, but we're going to start tonight with Fox 40's Rowena Shaddix live in El Dorado County with the details of the search for a man who's been missing since last week. Row.
Well, Nikki, there are lots of fire activity behind me. If you take a look, you can see orange glow. That is fire that is creeping up the hill. Firefighters are putting water on it. Lots of structure protection that is going on. Now, we are just about 7 miles from that missing man's home. Tonight, family and the sheriff's department are hoping for some good news.
He called me Monday night about 8 o'clock in the evening to let me know that he had changed his mind and he wasn't going to leave, that he was just going to stay there, wait it out, and if he had to leave, he'd wait till the last minute.
Jim Bradford and his family are hoping to hear from his uncle Marvin Creel. As the threat of the Caldor fire crept closer, Marvin filled his truck with items important to him.
He had guns, he had like blankets that were made, I guess, that meant something to him, and a bunch of his paperwork.
Jim offered to go there and help his uncle, but Marvin said he'd be fine. By Wednesday, Jim called all of his uncle's numbers after hearing the area of Grizzly Flats was gone.
I called all the numbers I had of his, and then he called me back. He said, "Hey, Jimmy, it's Uncle Marv." And I said, are you okay? And then the phone went out. There's a lot of noise in the background, and then the phone cut out. And then I tried to call him back, and it just went straight to voicemail.
And that was the last the family has heard from Marvin. The El Dorado County Sheriff's Office has been looking for him and is asking the public's help.
Apparently, when they found his truck somewhere abandoned,
including the keys in the ignition, parked somewhere in the Grizzly Flats area. Fox 40 went to find Marvin's Creekside Drive home. This deer sat quietly, staring at the devastation around it, the whole neighborhood decimated by the Caldor fire. Well, sadly, this is all that we have found left of Marvin's property. The house is completely gone. We know that there were 3 cars parked here in the front, that large box, and in the very back of the property, we see what's left of a Jeep. Just about 4 miles from the home, firefighters were battling spot fires in the canyon above Grizzly Flat Road. Multiple choppers were doing water drops at the same time. The family hopes Marvin pulled over to help someone, or maybe he needed help and someone took him to the hospital. He had bad knees and was known to have car problems.
He's a really good guy. Is a really good guy. We love him.
Now, if you think you may have seen Marvin or you may know his whereabouts, the Sheriff's Department would certainly like to hear from you. Reporting live in El Dorado County tonight, Rowena Shaddix, Fox 40 News.
Row, thank you. And Cal OES says Governor Newsom has requested a presidential disaster declaration for 8 counties, including Placer and Plumas counties. But they say the Caldor fire is not just their top priority, but the #1 fire in the nation. That is in terms of response. Cal Fire is getting more air assistance from Orange, Los Angeles, and Ventura counties to conduct nighttime fire suppression operations to help increase the Caldor fire's containment.
3 aircraft have been here for the last several days, and last night was the first night that they were that we had clear enough air where it was safe enough to fly them, and it was used effectively last night.
More air support is also coming in from the National Guard. Officials say these outside resources could be lifesavers during the difficult firefight. All right, let's talk about that firefight. Dennis is in for Christina tonight. And Dennis, you're keeping an eye on those hot spots that we're seeing at this hour.
Yeah, we're still seeing some growth tonight, as you saw with Rowena's live shot and that orange glow. Speaking of orange, all the orange squares in this map indicate fire activity 6 to 12 hours old, but the red squares are the fire activity in the past 6 hours. So still very active on the southeastern and the eastern side of this fire. That little area that jumped US 50 north of Kybers over the weekend hasn't grown much, so that's good news, but there is some active burning within it. Where we do see some areas of concern north of Omo Ranch and then southwest and northeast of Jenkinson Reservoir, some active burning. And we don't like to see this right here because Sly Park Road is just to the west there, and a lot of people live right along Sly Park Road. So I know a lot of attention being put into that area on the firefight. Right now we're looking at temperatures that are not a concern. Very mild, 60s in the valley, 60s and low 70s in the foothills, 50s up there in the high Sierra. Humidities have come up very nicely with the night, so the fire should be laying down somewhat overnight, and the winds are not a concern in the foothills at all. Just single-digit winds. I'd like to point out Kybers because it is, of course, close to where the fire is burning. It's 58 degrees there right now. Humidity 43%. That's not a concern. Winds are light, 3 miles per hour with gusts to only 7 miles per hour. And the wind speeds are a bit variable as they whip through those canyons. Air quality, very good in the valley today, good to moderate, but extremely poor up there in those higher elevations with that westerly wind pushing the smoke up there, especially into the Tahoe Basin. Here's what it looked like from Alpine Meadows today, where you could normally see Lake Tahoe. You just saw that thick smoke. Air quality readings were rated as hazardous in the Tahoe Basin, and that's still where things stand right now. This is the latest snapshot from airnow.gov indicating everything in yellow. That's just moderate air quality, not a concern. Great air quality in the Bay Area, but as you get up above 5,000 feet and then spilling over into Lake Tahoe, that's where we see this pool of very hazardous air, all that smoke settling there with the light wind. For tomorrow in the valley, we're not expecting anything worse than moderate. Of course, if you go to those higher elevations, you'll encounter the unhealthy air. We are expecting this smoke once again in the valley in a few days. We'll explain why in our main forecast tonight.
All right, we'll talk to you then, Dennis. Thank you. More than 24,000 people have been evacuated because of the Caldor fire. Taking a look at the areas right now that are under the evacuation. Areas in yellow under an evacuation warning mean that people are still there, but you need to be ready to leave at a moment's notice if you're given the instruction to do that. Portions of the map in red under mandatory evacuation orders, and that includes places like Grizzly Flats. The Grizzly Flats area was one of the hardest hit by this fire. Most of the homes and businesses in that small town are gone, but since that area is still not considered to be safe for people to return to, property owners have not been able to come back to figure out what's left. Fox 40's Bridget Biorlo joining us live from Grizzly Flats after being able to show one family the destruction that was left behind. Bridget.
Eric, the Silva family has called Grizzly Flats home for 7 years now, drawn to the scenic views and wooded hills. But it is this very area that has made fire insurance hard to come by. So this family not only has to process the loss of their property, but now how they're going to be able to start over from nothing.
Driving through Grizzly Flats, it's hard to imagine just 1 week ago a community of roughly 1,200 people lived here. But the Caldor fire made this quiet mountain town unrecognizable.
They left, you could see the forest glowing. Ashes were falling and stuff, and you could feel that wind being stuck towards the fire, and it was just over.
Rich Silva's home on Golden Aspen Drive was one of the first to burn last Monday night, 2 days after the fire started. He and his family made it out with 30 minutes to spare.
And it was so close. I knew there was no chance.
Rich's home is a skeleton of what it used to be. He can't yet see it for himself in person, so we decided to come up here for him.
Oh, that's my boat. Jesus criminy. Wow.
All that stands at his home of 7 years is his address post and fireplace.
I guess it's a lot harder to see it.
Cracked tiles mark the spot where his family once ate dinner.
Pretty bad. Yeah, I knew it had no chance. That fire was really hot.
Melted bikes, tools, and cars reduced to smoking ruins.
It's hard to deal with. I mean, it is what it is, you know, but I haven't seen it yet. It's the first time I saw it. I mean, I knew it. I really haven't looked back since then because I knew everything was gone, but I just haven't seen it yet.
Rich looks to his pet, a bearded dragon named Mr. Wilson, for strength.
Like I said, without Wilson, I don't know. I don't know what I'd do. He is my best friend.
Wearing a brave face for his family as they wonder, with fire insurance too hard to find in these wooded hills, where to go from here.
I don't feel like much of a rock in a sense, but I feel like breaking down all the time. But I gotta do, you know, something. I can't just fall apart.
It's just heartbreaking to imagine what these families are going through, but Rich just hopes and is just grateful that he made it out with what's most important, his family. And if you would like to help them rebuild their lives, we provided a GoFundMe link on our website, fox40.com. Reporting live tonight in Grizzly Flats, Bridget Bjorlo, Fox 40 News.